Hello there, folks. Do you ever struggle with questions like good versus bad? Because I've seen so many people, and of course, I myself count as such a person. I have been asking myself why a certain thing feels good and why a certain thing feels bad. But the question is, this is kind of the question that many people ask themselves, right? Why do I feel bad when I do something that's also not bad towards myself and it's not detrimental to other people? Why do I feel bad? Now, the question is not that, okay? Many people still act at a very shallow level because they haven't been taught that there are much deeper levels into seeing certain things, because society and the way of thinking have been shaped into always dealing with the so-called result instead of the problems, okay? So the thing is, why do you think something is bad? Well, first of all, you think, okay? That is the first little trouble. Now, thinking on its own is not a bad thing, okay? It's not a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either. Why am I saying this? Well, because ultimately, good and bad are nothing else than two concepts that have literally no meaning, right? The only meaning you attribute is that which you accept from others. When you were born, you had no meaning. There was no meaning for you. You could simply accept literally everything around. But you come into a world where there are countries, all sorts of concepts, nationalities, religions, and all sorts of beliefs. And of course, in order to communicate with others, you need a language. And that language is also a sort of meanings, right? A collective of meanings that are well collectively accepted, right? Your words, phrases, expressions, everything that you use, you weren't born knowing them. You just took them from external sources. So from those external sources, you also took many other things, like something is good, something is bad. Now, in order to use your own body's discernment, right, which using discernment means that you're not ignorant, right? Because if you have a mind of your own and you think for yourself, well, that shows that, well, you're not ignorant. Of course, we all live in certain layers and levels of ignorance, but the point is, the least the better. So the point is, when you think that something is good or bad, first of all ask yourself, is this just a thought? Or is this something better? Is it just a feeling? Because so many people have reached a level which is very cheeky, which is very problematic in a way, because they are using the fact that they are feeling bad as a distraction from doing other things. Strange as it may sound, this is something that many people do. They are embracing feeling bad as the new normal, right? You can see art. Art is made, everything is made in art nowadays, in especially video games, which I consider as a very important and impactful piece of art, right? What is the most impactful thing in a video game? The moment a character that everyone has attached to perishes, right? When a character passes away, so many people feel bad, right? And they feel as if it's the new normal. It is very important to cry for a character that's, well, nothing else than a bit of pixels. Now, there is nothing wrong about caring for a character, but at the same time, when you care about something, don't forget that you also exist. And you have to care for your body in the first place, because without your body, without your physical body, you won't feel anything physical. Without your mental body, you won't be able to think, and you won't be able to act in the world accordingly, right? Without your emotional body, you won't be able to live life, because your emotions are the only thing that you will remember when you'll be on your deathbed. So the point is, when something happens in your life, right, there is only one choice. You can either grow stronger, or you can either grow, let's say, more wounded, right? Because everything kind of ends up as a belief. If someone calls you a bad name, you kind of agree to it, right? Because many people are pissed about it, right? Someone calls you a jerk, someone calls you a dick or whatever name, and then you feel bad. But the question is, why do you feel bad? Okay, if someone calls you an idiot, where's the proof, right? You have to know yourself, and when you know yourself, that is the first step out of ignorance, and the most important one. Because once you ground yourself in who and what you are, what people tell about you is simply irrelevant. Everyone has been saying all sorts of things about literally anyone who has become famous. They have always been pulled down, and there have always been a lot of people, and there will always be a lot of people fighting against them. Just because, well, if the more successful you become, you will see that the more you will trigger a lot of people, because so many people have their karma to sort through, or so many people are simply spiritually younger, so they can't accept, right, other people becoming better than them. They are still trapped in different ideas, right? That competition, right? That sense that no one should be better than them, right? Everyone should be at the same level. And of course, a lot of people embrace their comfort zone, which is kind of their tomb in the end, because when you embrace a comfort zone, you fight against you kind of end up fighting against development, against improvement, right? And, well, change is the only constant. Now, the point about this is, there is no such thing as good and bad, right? But we have created religions, beliefs, we have created a lot of aspects, right? And even in our choices, we feel bad, right? And then we also add this idea of consumerism. When you want something, right, there's always at least a choice, right? And the choice includes, well, at least, let's say, two elements, and any one that you get, you'll always regret you didn't get the other one, right? And what is a regret? Well, when you have a regret, it's technically you're not accepting, well, a fake idea, which is kind of, a case of almost psychiatry in a way, because you're not accepting something that isn't, right? You have accepted an aspect of reality, and then you're suffering that you haven't made the other choice. But compared to most other people, at least you still made a choice. Now, so many people say, well, a bad thing is something bad that will influence you for the rest of your life. Well, why not see something like this? A choice is something that you made. At least compared to other people, you still tried. Okay, trying yields some experience, so still there is nothing lost. Okay, now if something ended up as detrimental to you, the best thing you can do is also, why not drop a video on YouTube or any other platforms in which you present your situation without any judgment, without any hatred and resentment, because you don't want to put those out in the world, right? And explain your situation to other people, right? You might get some, well, kindness back, but you might get some hate as well. But the point is, you shared one of your experiences. Now the point is, when something happens, and life will always throw things at everyone, when things happen, you either can become wiser or you can become more hurt. People become more hurt because they react to things. Wise people don't choose to become hurt because they are conscious. Something happens to them, they don't place meaning on it, because you don't need to put meaning on pain. You'll only make it worse. You'll only make it harder, right? So the point about that is, well, it is very simple. This idea of hurt ultimately ends up being embraced by people, right? Stockholm syndrome. They embrace pain as if it is the new and only normal. So the point is, they will simply give up in anything. So they will also fight against people who don't, people who prefer thinking for themselves. Is this good or bad? Well, again, I cannot accept the idea of good or bad. Ultimately, these are two meanings that only the mind requires. Why? Because something good is something that helps you, something bad is something that does not help you, right? And you can see this at even greater levels. Someone who supports a group's belief, be it religious or whatever, well, that is good. Someone or a party who doesn't, well, they are automatically the enemy, right? That's how the ego mind works. That's how egotism works, right? Egocentrism, that your beliefs are the core or should be the core of the world. So ultimately there is no such thing as good or bad. The point is, if you feel that you've made a bad choice, that is just because you have a set of concepts within you. You have accepted your parents' ideas or school's ideas, right? Because ultimately everything works on this principle. If it's not like me, well, then it is bad, right? So children are taught ever since they are young into this complacency and into embracing this idea that if they don't do like others, right, it's not good, right? But when you do things like others and not like yourself, the point is you're giving up your uniqueness, right? You're living someone else's life, which will always be bad in a way because, well, there is indeed no such thing as good or bad, but pain and suffering, okay, they exist in your life to guide you, because as long as you are straying away from that who you are, right, you will suffer. Why? Because humans are the most complex beings in the world, right? And animals know that if they do things, well, honestly, they can't do things other than those that they can. They can try, of course, but animals are stuck in their own comfort zone. You won't see a fox climbing a tree because, well, probably the fox can climb a tree, we don't know. But it's not in their behavior because they don't want to try. They don't feel like trying, and most likely they are not interested in that, right? They are what they are, okay? Each animal is what they are, okay? And they are simply okay with that. But if you are something, right, and you want to be something else, and you forsake that which you are, you're like a fish that's moving out of water. So definitely that's gonna feel bad for you. You're technically feeling like you're choking yourself, or well, technically you're, like you're kind of killing yourself, right? That's how it feels. So suffering is only there to guide you towards that which is good for you. Because every time you do things your way and you do things that you like, right, irrespective of what they are, you won't be feel strained, you won't be feeling bad about that, right? You'll always feel quite good, and you're also gonna feel as if that is recharging you because you're not paying anyone your attention. You're just releasing things. You're just allowing creation to flow through you, right? So all this being said, hopefully this video was informative enough, and well, I'll see you in the next one. You are appreciated. Take care. Ferencan Board signing out.